Hello, I'm Sam Acton, founder of Domestic Angels and Domestic Angels Franchising. I want to speak to you today about what I've been doing this year to support my franchisees. So what have I been doing as a franchisor? Now, this is particularly important to any of you who are watching this, because if you're watching this, you are interested in starting your own business and possibly taking the franchise route. So this is going to be interesting information for you to understand what it is that you can benefit from as a franchisee rather than going alone. So what is it that I have done on behalf of my business this year, 2020, when there has been so much to do, so much crisis, so much challenge, so many obstacles that could have stopped us in our tracks and has stopped so many businesses from going forth, and they're just not here with us any longer, or they're about to disappear, which is very, very sad. Well, the franchise industry is particularly strong and has weathered this storm particularly well because it has tried and tested processes. But more importantly, it has people like me, the franchisors, behind the scenes, working like crazy to make sure that you, as the franchisees, survive and thrive. So the kind of things that I have done as we went into lockdown in March, so those few weeks before the lockdown, we all knew it was coming, started to gear up on the amount of work that was being done, increase the connection with the franchisees to provide support and comfort and a shoulder, and increase the work hours so that they didn't feel alone. Now, that didn't mean I was sat here working doing absolutely nothing. I certainly wasn't doing any colouring in. I was researching. So the kind of things I worked on solidly for what was the space of about 2.5 months from the just before lockdown to after lockdown was the legal options. So what was going on legally that we could work with in order to continue business. Now, not all of our franchisees wanted to work and trade through lockdown. They had family at home. It was overwhelming, and it sort of stopped them in their tracks. It really sort of froze them to the spot. We just needed to support them. But the other guys, they wanted to carry on trading. So we found that end of tenancy cleans could carry on, spring cleans could carry on if there was nobody in the house. We continued and ramped up our service to home help people. So that was to our vulnerable customers, people who just don't see anybody and just can't get out, but they need somebody over the threshold to make that difference to them. We also increased our marketing and capture of key workers because obviously they were working full-time throughout the lockdown and were getting tired and needed that extra help. Also did all the research behind the PPE. What was it that needed to be introduced? What didn't need to be introduced? And also the cost. Well, luckily we'd been researching this before lockdown, and I bought stocks and stocks of stuff in and cleaning gear. So we were all ready. And then that way the franchisees didn't have to panic. They had supplies to be able to open for trading when the time came. We did all of the research into the human resources, into the legality of employment and what it meant for our staff that work for our franchisees, and what needed to happen for them. So what were the options, how to care for them, how much contact could you have? You can't just say you're on furlough and not speak to somebody, not when you work in a company that is based on family principles. You need to have contact. You need to check in and say, hi, how are you doing? Shall we have a little bit of a chat online? What shall we do? And that's actually exactly what we did with our franchisees. We spoke to them once and twice a week in the height of the lockdown, making sure that they were all right, keeping them united, letting them know that they were part of a family and most certainly not alone. And to back this up, we introduced weekly counselling for them so that they had a professional who they could share the load with and their concerns. And concerns aren't just around business. It permeates. You know, we are more than just business owners and business leaders. We're human beings with family, with friends, with children, with elderly relatives, with mortgages, with bills, with concerns in the world. And when things get tough, do you know what? That lot can get in a good old muddle. So we had backup there, and we all stuck together and helped each other through what was quite a tough time. We also helped them extensively to prepare to reopen for business or to gear up for those that had traded through. This was quite complicated because we needed to anticipate when the end of lockdown was going to be and when the rules would change. But we also needed to make sure that we had procedure in place for all of our staff going out to work, procedure in place for our clients so they knew what was going to happen, what to expect and what to do with that, and what their commitment was their end. So what am I doing now? Because that was back then. Well, what I'm doing now is I'm reflecting on the lessons we've learned during these last 9 months and taking us forward. So we've learned that actually the consumers, the marketplace has moved on remarkably, and we are adjusting our product range accordingly so that it is more fitting for the market coming into 2021, and everybody's involved in doing this. I'm responding to the confidence adjustment of my franchisees, as is my management team, because do you know what? This year has knocked people for six, really taken the stuffing out of them, and they don't really know where they're going or how they feel easily. And so it's really important that we're there for them and that we're engaging with them, that they've got access to that counselling that I spoke about, that they know that they can lean on us. And do you know what? Yes, they kick us, because that's what we do to the people who care for us the most, and we take it. We're there to shoulder that. With the market adjustment, do you know what? The whole team is involved. Everyone is welcome to influence that and contribute to the evolution of what's going to happen next. Some are just listening because what they're doing at the moment is enough and their confidence isn't quite beaming through, and others are absolutely smashing it with the ideas they've got to add to the pot. We're also coaching them because do you know what? We want them to succeed. This is so, so important. They didn't come into a franchise so that they could fail. They came in because they want to be successful business owners, and it is our responsibility to do everything we can to make sure that that dream becomes a reality despite a pandemic. So we're mentoring them. We're there as a shoulder to cry on. We want them winning again. It's really important that me as an individual, steps up as a leader to put us ahead of the competition. But I don't do that alone. I take the entire team with me. That engagement is really important because they've joined to be part of a family, joined to be part of a franchise, rather than going it alone. I hope that's answered some of the questions. I'd love to hear any questions you might have, then I can answer them on a further video. Thank you for listening.